enough. I'll call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum, so we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, open forum public input.
Yep, so I sent something out to staff last week. If usually this school board recognition month, if there's anybody that would come and share and give some information about what some happenings are in their classroom, and Mr. Fisher and Ms. Schoenfelder helped us out. So she's going to give you some insight as to some of the programming that they're doing in her secondary classroom. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Schoenfelder and she can kind of give you some insight.
Okay, we started this year, our Fridays, we didn't have any specials, so we wanted to get the kids up and moving and doing something fun. So this year we started STEM every Friday afternoon, and STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. And it's kind of project-based learning where I just give the kids a problem and I give them certain materials and say, okay, solve it. And like for the first couple, they just stare at me like, what do we do? You didn't give us directions. Like, tell us how to do it. So this has been really kind of fun. So this is one of the ones that I gave them in October. So and that's their materials, and the like conversations they would have, and sometimes I let them have who they pick for partners, sometimes I pick their partners, and the conversations we have afterward are just so enlightening. This one I have a video of them doing it. Oops, hang on, I went too far. Hopefully it won't pull on me. Maybe. No? Hang on, let me see if when I clicked on it in here, it would play it earlier. You can see some of their frustration. So that was just one of them. And they've really came so far, like they've come so far on like, at first they would get frustrated and they didn't know what to do, and now they're like really talking, and actually it's not a lot of academic, it's a lot of like common sense. Like, I can't cut up all my materials before I have a plan, because then I don't get any more materials. Like, and like they're just, the other day one of them said, oh, I'm on to plan Z. I'm like, yeah, you are. Like, so it's just, and then sometimes they're like, so-and-so and I are not good partners because we're best friends. Like, just those kind of things for second graders. This one I had a really good video, and I can't get it to, I don't know why it won't. So there's some pictures. They had to make a boat. They just get simple things to make it out of. But this one was hard because they had to make it move and float, and we just kept adding marbles to their thing, and a lot of them either would float and hold a lot of marbles, but we also had a fan, and they did not plan for one or the other, like it wouldn't move across the tub or anything like that. So, and then one of the other ones, this one was one we just did lately, and it was kind of fun. And then I heard some of them wishing for snow. They had to build a ramp, and they used like bottle pops, lids to see as sleds to see which sled would go the farthest. And it was funny because I had a whole table of bottle caps, and they built it, and then they were like, oh, this one's faster. Oh, I know which sled at my house is faster and stuff. So that's just some of the things we've kind of been doing on Fridays. They really love it. Some days we do, both second grades do it. Sometimes we take some of their kids, I take some of Mrs. Deckert's, and we swap them. because then it's like a new set of partners. Like, you haven't figured out who's, in my class, they've already figured out who's really good at certain things. So on certain ones, they want certain partners because they learn each other's strengths. So that's just something we've kind of started, and it's been a lot of fun. I think the kids have really, really loved it, and I don't know, that's just something kind of we've been starting this year. So do you guys have any questions?
The challenge for the kids, and I can get, when you first did this, they all stood there and sat there and stared at you without really any insight, direction, what am I supposed to do here? So the problem-solving aspect of STEM. What did you have to front load just a little bit?
I did. Like everyone, we show videos. So I show videos. I teach about like slope, or like this one I would teach slope and like, you know, like the shape of it, and like, and then a lot of times we do build, test. Okay, now you get 10 more minutes to build. Like, or, you know, like we did a parachutes one with Santa, and I would test it in our classroom, and they'd be like, oh, that was terrible, we gotta fix. Sometimes they overfix, and then they find that out too, like, oh, it was way better. So we talk about all those kind of things, but yeah, that is kind of just one of the things that, yeah, we do a little bit, like, this week we were learning about like matter, so solid, liquid, gases, and that kind of played into. So I do give them a little bit of like prior knowledge and stuff, but some of it is, yeah, like the spiderweb bridge. Okay, you've all seen a bridge, but like the different designs of bridges. Some of them made where it intertwined so that their stuff didn't fall through. Some left more gaps. I mean, they just kind of, so yeah, it was, a lot of it is kind of common sense, but some of it isn't, of like that. But it's been really, I would say socially, more skills have been learned than more the academic, of just those social skills and having to work with other people and do things, and you might have a budget and this is how much supplies you get. That's all you get. So one time they did get, the tape is the big, they don't get very much tape. That they're like, one time I'm like, oh yeah, you can have more this time, that's not part of it. And they were like, what? We can like, but yeah, no, it's been fun. It's been fun to see them. And like this Friday we don't have STEM, so they're a little bummed. They're like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? So I have to give them a little hints to keep them. But yeah, they absolutely love it, and it's been fun. So it's something I hope to I kind of did it a little bit, but not as consistent. And yeah, I think it's just kind of going to grow for the CTE. Hopefully it will lean to that in high school. So that's all right. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yes, yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Need more common sense.
Not so common anymore, is it?
No, it's not.
Okay, we'll move on to approve agenda, changes to the agenda. There are no changes, so I'll accept the motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Nebel, second by Turner. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All same sign. Motion carries. No new conflicts of interest that I'm aware of. Approve consent agenda. We will approve the January minutes, approve the monthly claims, approve contract for Becky Belas for vocal music, and recognize Ben Sanger's resignation as bus barn manager of the Parkston site at year's end. Does anybody have any questions on any of that?
Is Becky willing to be like a long-term vocal teacher, or is this a kind of a one year-by-year thing for her?
I'm hoping she's long-term. So this is it. I mean, yeah, we've had that opening since Ashlyn resigned here, 2-3 months ago before Christmas, and you know, it just, that's the only app I got. I mean, it's been on our Associated School Board's website forever, and yeah, I mean, this is the real deal. I mean, she's all in, so it's she'll fill that 1.0 FTE and
She's
music.
gonna be so good.
Yeah, we'll
Oh, she'll do a
restructure,
great
just,
job.
yeah, restructure just a little bit as far as actual assigned duties, you know, and who's doing what in the programming, but, and principal's got that pretty much figured out, so,
Mhm.
yeah, this is, yeah,
That's
full-time.
exciting.
So,
Any other questions? I'll accept the motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Turner, second by Roth. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, we'll move on to the high school principal report.
Good evening, everyone. Busy stretch since last time we talked. So this is the one time of the year I think we've had 5 straight 5-day school weeks. So you really kind of get to hit home. Some of it you spend in our world trying to get them back into good habits. You know, after Christmas break, they love to hang out, sleep in, be on their phones a lot. We're trying to get them re-engaged. Some good days, some bad, but overall, for the most part, been pretty good. Just a shout out reminder to anybody that's watching, there is parent-teacher conferences tomorrow night. So we really, really love to have a full gym. So anybody and everybody that can come, please do. That means we have a 2:45 out and stuff too. So busy day tomorrow. I'm going to kind of highlight the CTE world. Mrs. Kufka and I went to CTE state meeting about a week and a half ago, and we are an A honor roll CTE school. There's 8 total amongst all the schools of all the different sizes in the state, and we are one of the 8 that's considered on the A honor roll. What that comes down to is the amount of people we have participating, what they are doing, how they're doing it, so on and so forth. So there's a bunch of different criteria. I was trying to remember them real quick while I was back there and I couldn't, but it just goes to show you that we have great people in our CTE stuff, and we have great participation. So some things that we've been having going on, already in January, FCCLA had their region meeting. They went to Mitchell for a day, and if I recall, every single person either got a gold or a platinum, which is kind of a big deal, right? Like basically, we did really, really good in all of our different competitions in FCCLA. HOSA just went to the Yankton Hospital tour. I like how Mrs. Bartels does a very good job with HOSA of getting out and getting us a lot of opportunities. I think they're going to Cadaver Lab in about a month and stuff too. So a lot of stuff going there. FFA just got back from the stock show rodeo, and they stick around on Monday, and there's a lot of really good workshops for the high school age kids on the Monday after the stock show rodeo. I've always thought that'd be kind of fun to go out there, but of course it's right in basketball, so I don't get to go. FBLA, got a little shout out. We had the South Dakota FBLA Member of the Month during January. Hillary Pohl Rice was the South Dakota FBLA Member of the Month. So you look at each one of our CTE groups and stuff, got a lot of great stuff going on. Some other things that we've had going on. In the character development world, we had a really great speaker in about a week ago. How do you say Mark's last name?
Lean Weaver.
Lean Weaver. Mark Lean Weaver is a sports agent, has like 75 professional baseball clients. He gives a Why Character Matters. I thought it was a really, really great message that he gave to the students and then later gave to the staff. And so that was a pretty neat deal. I thought he did a good job. On top of that, we've been kind of selling his message as long as continuing on with the growth mindset. And I gave him a good video on Monday about the procrastination trap and how to try and avoid it. And so we just keep trying to sprinkle in little ways we can improve the kiddos both academically and in the character realm. So other than that, like I said, just keeping our head down and keeping busy and see how it goes. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I did bring, you guys asked last time to just bring the school song. So I was gonna start and just have you guys pass that around. I think I got enough, hopefully. On one side I put the current version. On the back side I labeled a draft version so that you can see that. Is that enough? I don't know if I need one. Got through there. So just for you guys to review and look at, I don't really have too much to talk about with that, but just wanted to present that as we talked about last month. So you guys can look at it, maybe give me some feedback next month when we get together. As far as from an activities standpoint, as Mr. Knipling mentioned, it's a very, very busy time right now. This last week and then this current week and the following are as action-packed as we probably have. And it's an exciting time. You know, we have state gymnastics is going to be this Friday, Saturday. Our wrestling team qualified for the state dual tournament, which is this Saturday. We have some big basketball classic going on this weekend with the girls playing Friday night, boys playing Saturday night. So all of that is happening. We got region basketball coming up for the girls in like 2 weeks. I think we got 3 games left. Girls are sitting #1 overall seed in the state right now, which is exciting. Boys are #2 in the region, #3 in the state as far as power points go. You know, we're looking forward to our individual state wrestling or individual region tournaments for wrestling coming up next weekend for both our boys and girls. You know, the way it sounds, we got a chance for maybe to have our first ever girls potentially qualify. I think we might have a couple that might be in the mix there. And you know, boys are always in the mix. We were in probably the toughest region in the state in wrestling, so it's going to be very competitive there for those guys. But just lots and lots of things happening and going on. So really exciting time as far as that goes. We also found out, I don't think we've met since then, but we will be Class B for 2 more years in our basketball and volleyball. So that was, we had to appeal that process, and Mr. M kind of led the way on that. But the state heard our appeal and made pretty common sense to them, so it wasn't really debated much. And we were able to get 2 more years of Class B. That will probably be our last run of Class B. When you look at our numbers after that, pretty steady with our enrollment. We don't have any of the smaller classes. Right now, that class that's a sophomore class kind of keeps us down because they're in the 20s. Once they get through, then we're in 35 to 40 all the way down to kindergarten. So it'll run pretty consistent in Class A. And I think with football, probably 9AA, we're right at the top. But I think we'll kind of stay right in that, being right at the top at 9AA is what it kind of looks like. But you never know if we get a big family to move in. So that's kind of the recap on activities. Mr. Kimberly, did you mention the one act?
You know, I had it written down, and then
Okay.
I kind of got locked because I was jumping up and down. But no,
Yep.
I got 4th place.
Yep. So they did a really nice job. They worked really hard. It was fun to see their performance here. And then to go on to regions, I know we had some stellar individual performances. And I think Ms. Andre is really building excitement with that program. The kids are wanting more and more. And so it's exciting to see that growing as well. So lots of good things happening there. Transitioning to the elementary side, again, what Ms. Schoenfelder shared, I just kind of wanted to recap some of that. It's been really fun to see them kind of grow that. When they told me about it kind of at the beginning of the year, I was excited, but I didn't really know what to expect. And they've done a great job with getting the kids excited. They are so excited to show their learning. It's a real chance for them to demonstrate their problem-solving skills in a real authentic manner, which is a big thing that I really like to see. I think a lot of times we fall habit of showing the kids exactly what we want, and then all they produce is what we just showed them. And so this really is a great example of them being able to create something on their own. And it's fun to see that. And like she said, they were kind of stuck right away, but now it's not the thing. And you come into the room and you'll see 5 or 6 different models, which is interesting, and they all think that theirs is going to be the best until they test them. And so that's been pretty fun to see. And also the teachers, she didn't really touch on that, but they celebrate, they'll kind of award different things at the end of each of those sessions. So it might be which one was the most indestructible, which one was the tallest, which one went the fastest. But they find ways to celebrate, you know, maybe 2 or 3, sometimes 4 different things, so that, you know, if I walk in there at the end of the day, each group is excited to say like, well, this was the best one, but mine was the strongest, or, you know, mine, it didn't go very fast, but it was the tallest or the longest or whatever. So they, you know, they find ways, and that is great because that keeps them motivated. So she didn't touch on some of those things, but I do thank her for coming in to talk about that. It's been fun to see. A couple other things I wanted to update you on. This was just kind of a fun thing I wanted to share. We do a weekly intervention, whole group intervention with our first graders. I've mentioned that in the past, working on some reading things. And I was getting together with those teachers to kind of recap, see how things were going. And it was fun to hear them. They kind of were like, you know, I think we really got to dive in and let our data drive our decision making. I was like, oh, okay, yep, you know, tell me more. What are you guys thinking here? And like, well, we're getting to a point with some of our readers where, and we have different layers, and so when we bring a first grade group in, we're going to kind of level them off to where they're at with their reading level, and then we work on increasing their strengths of wherever they're at. But now we're getting to a point at this point in the year where we have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 in each class that have kind of got to a point where what we've used in the past isn't enough. And so you're like, what can we do for these kids? Which I was really excited to have them bring that forward to me. And so we kind of did some problem solving and figured out a way to add another layer to what we've been doing. And so that's a whole new layer that we've now added to try to even push our high flyers a little bit higher, so that now everybody is continuing to grow. And so it was just kind of one of those proud moments where it's just really fun for me to hear the teachers bring that up, because I know we've been pushing it, but you could see that they're living it, because they were like, well, what are we going to do for these kids? I'm like, I mean, I don't know what, we haven't done anything for them in the past with ideas. And so we're just brainstorming and doing that, and now they involve me in it because they need an extra person, and so I get to help with that and be a part of it. So it was kind of a cool thing, and thought I would share that with you guys. And then the last thing I was just going to share is it's been really fun to see. We adopted a new ELA curriculum, and so now as we start the second semester, it's been really fun to see how we are vertically aligned from first grade through fifth grade, even kindergarten, some of it, but really first through fifth. You can walk in a room and see them all talking about analyzing a character. And as a former English teacher, it's really fun for me to hear first, second, third graders talking about all these different attributes of how to analyze a character. That's just one example, but it gets me really excited for then what they're going to be able to do on his end here in a couple years. And all the teachers have done such an excellent job. It's been a lot of new for them, so I wanted to recognize them for the work that they've put in adopting a new curriculum and really making it their own. And we're still growing with it, but it's been a new ELA, it's been a new phonics. We've added a state social studies curriculum. So they've had a lot of new this year, and now they're kind of settling in and getting more and more comfortable with it. And to see how vertically aligned we are and see the conversations happening, not just across the hall with their co-teacher, but also now in the different grade levels, is pretty exciting. And so really proud of the work that they have put in to learning that curriculum and then making it their own, and then for me to be able to see it come to life has been pretty cool. So those are the couple updates I have for you guys. Any questions?
I have one question on the activity side.
Yep.
I read an article that there was some talk about adding 2 games to the basketball schedules.
Yeah.
You think that's going to go anywhere, or?
I don't know. I don't
To me,
think
it just seems like our kids are just running
Yeah.
ragged the way it is.
Yeah.
If one team's going to play 22,
Yeah. Then
they're all going to play 22.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
Why, though? What was the reasoning?
I haven't heard that, or
I don't know.
To try and I think they're trying to align with the states around us. Allow, like Minnesota usually play into like the 26, 28 range. Iowa, but I also think their seasons are longer.
Mhm.
You think about it, like when we play an Iowa school or a Minnesota school or a Nebraska school, it's their 4th or 5th game versus our first kind of deal. So, I think it's one of those deals where it's kind of misplaced, where you're saying we want to be just like them, but you'd have to look at the length of the season. So I don't know where it's coming from. It's a pretty small conglomerate that put it
Yeah.
together, but
It made it through that basketball advisory,
I saw that.
but I mean, it's going to have a ways to go still. I don't think it's going to go, but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, please update or.
Yeah, they'll bring that to the state AD convention is the last week in March, and so that's where some of those ideas will start to be vetted.
Okay.
They'll present those, and then they're voted on by the ADs, and then it would go then to the next level for more discussion and that. So I guess we'll see what people are feeling. I don't know, but I did see that, so I don't know. We'll see what happens with that.
All right.
Oh, go ahead.
I have different topics up to you guys.
I do too. I have a
Okay.
different.
I saw in one of the bills they were trying to make athletics for credit.
Yeah.
Did that go anywhere? I guess I didn't check back on it.
No.
So that didn't.
That
Didn't make it through.
Okay.
Sent to the 41st day.
When I was hearing you talk about the new things that they're trying and having success with, and is there any sort of, the only thing I can compare it to in my work is we have a quality congress that they have an event every year where hospitals submit quality projects they've had and showing cost savings or you know, they're meeting their mission or whatever it is, and it's like an award, then an award is picked and given to one of those that submitted. Do schools have anything like that? Like, is there anything like that there's like a way to celebrate or like
Yeah.
show other schools?
So it's your parent organization will do that. So there's always in the fall of the year during the joint conference with school administrators and associated school boards, you'll have the Little Red Schoolhouse Award, you'll have the Innovator Award, you'll have
Oh,
from the
okay.
school board.
I've
but-
been to that, so I remember that now that you say that, but
But it's more about what the school district is doing and obviously the board's role in supporting or giving the resources or, you know, collaborating with that whole concept. So the recognition to do something of that degree on a school board level is there, but, you know, is there anything really there? You know, we have individual awards within each parent organization, so there's superintendents, school superintendents, elementary principals, high school principals, business officials, CASE, which is counselors, there's special ed. I mean, so every one of those parent organizations under school administrators in South Dakota all have a group of awards too. That, but it's not necessarily recognizing the teaching aspect of that. It's not necessarily for what's happening in your classrooms. Now, oftentimes you backdoor it, you know, to be recognized as, you know, South Dakota Elementary Principal of the Year, based on what? That's where you would look at stuff like he's just described and what Ms. Schoenfelder is doing, programming, you know, the utilization of data to the degree that they're doing. I mean, those are what gets those people in his positions or his position the award, right? So there is some recognition brought to programming what's happening within the walls of the school and in the classrooms. So
it just seems like something that should be shared.
Mhm.
Like if you're having success, so other school districts,
Yeah.
here in your school district or your teachers who are working on it could be recognized in some way.
Yeah. And there's sometimes opportunities where teachers can apply to present some of the things that they're doing at different conferences. I mean, that'd be another way to kind of be
Yeah.
celebrated in a way. I don't know that that's something we've been doing, but I think we're getting to a point where, you know, hopefully we can find some of those opportunities for our staff to share some of that.
Yeah, you just have had a lot of really cool things that I think have made a big difference.
Yeah.
That might be kind of fun to
Yeah.
share.
Yeah, and you know, like, I mean, that could be, like Jody Scott just recognized, you know, for the state VFW. I mean, so it's nice to see some of that recognition there too, with that.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Rickman.
well, first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make you. So this is National School Board Recognition Month, and there's, next week is actually School Board Recognition Week. Well, it never aligns with South Dakota's school board meetings. So we've never done this before, and instead of just giving you those certificates all the time, what I would like you to do, and I asked Mr. Fisher to come up, but we're just gonna hold this, you're gonna line up here, you're gonna get shoulder to shoulder, and you're gonna be real nice to each other.
Who's in charge
if you
here?
would. Yeah, right. And then, I wanna take a picture
No.
so we can post that.
What the hell?
Yeah, so we can post that, okay? So, in recognition of
Should be the
That's like
face
a-
of our school
That's like
board.
a punishment. Like I feel like Matt should have to do it. Yeah.
all of you, I want all five of you up there, all
Okay.
five of you up here, so Mr. Fisher can come take a picture.
I'll hide in the back.
That how it works?
I literally threw the
Please,
shoes on. Make sure
please,
my shoes.
please.
Make sure
We've
my
never
shoes
done
are
that.
in the photo because I clearly wore not shoes to be taking a picture. That's bored. Okay.
I won't get your shoes,
We
too.
got, we got set up on this one, didn't we? Sure.
Fair enough. Matt, can we close your, oh, sorry, computer? I might be able to get out of that. All right, guys, here we go.
Smile now.
1, 2, 3. Okay.
Thank you.
guys.
That was a
Hurry.
great smile.
Wow.
See, that didn't kill anybody.
Leaving
Feel how good of a photo that is going to be wherever that shows up at.
That's going on
don't know.
Facebook, it's going on the
Oh,
website, it's
great.
going out social media.
I don't know if I've ever taken just one picture before. It's usually
Yeah,
20
right.
or 30, isn't it?
He took two. I saw him take two.
Oh.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you for humoring me on that. And it's still, it's more about what you guys do, because y'all know that's not, you don't get rich, and it's not for all the accolades, because there really is no accolades in there. So your dedication, your service, it's appreciated. And if it's not appreciated out in your community, which I think it is, but it's certainly appreciated by our staff as well as our admin. So we just want to say thank you for all your efforts in your years of service to that, and hopefully some of you more years to come. The next thing I got for you is, I didn't recognize the fact that I only put the Senate bills in your packet. That's the colored stuff about the bills that were going on. I had the House bills, and obviously I just looked at the colors. I just missed it, so I apologize for that. But I do have some other information. I just wanted to bring your attention to some of the bills that are happening right now. I spent last week out in Pier, not last week, but a couple days anyway. And some bills that are of noteworthy, I guess. You're looking at Senate Bill 47, that passed 7-0, and it passed Senate 34-0, but it's revising the requirements for executive sessions and closed meetings. And I think that has more to do with how it's advertised. We do a pretty good job, I think, of on our agendas. You can see it says personnel, South Dakota codified law, and then there's a rationale behind that. Apparently some don't do that. I think it's more an admin rule, not necessarily codified law, so that's kind of what that pertains to. Senate Bill 84, increase the thresholds for the value of the eligibility in Partners in Education Scholarship. That's that insurance money that's sitting there that went from $1 million to $3 million to $5 million to give people who want to send their kids to private school a scholarship. In order to do that, the thresholds to apply for that scholarship is being increased by this bill, so that's a good thing. And I was a little shocked that it passed the Senate at 34-0, but the fact that it did is a good thing. Senate Bill 85, which would require an election for an excess of tax levy of a school district. So anytime that you were going to increase a levy, it automatically had to require an election in order to do that, and it didn't matter what fund it was. So that was very cumbersome, but that passed the House. It did go, or excuse me, it passed the Senate. It went to the House. I was out there. It got killed that day, 42 to whatever, 21, something like that. But there was a motion to reconsider, and it was granted. So that tells me that there's inner workings and rumblings there that thing's going to come back. So, which not a great thing for us. Senate Bill 106, modify the amount required to be set aside for extraordinary expenses incurred in special ed programs. That's called the Extraordinary Cost Fund. They increased that from $4 million to $5 million. And Senate Ed did, and they sent it on to appropriations with a due recommend. So, but going to appropriations because it's this, and where they're going to find another $1 million in the budget this year, I'm not 100% sure, or 100% sure, but it is needed. There was 20 school districts this year that applied for that. They all got something, but a majority of them didn't get all that they needed in order to backfill their spend, because their levy at the local level was not enough in order to run the program. So I have plenty of experience going to the Extraordinary Cost Fund. In fact, all my years of my former job, we were broke. We were beyond broke, and our levy didn't even come close to the programs that we were running up there. So going to Extraordinary Cost Fund is not a big deal for me, but you have to have levied to the max, and we do not do that in Parkston. So we're a long ways from that. Senate Bill 157, amend the school funding formula to provide for the use of an average fall enrollment. I don't 100% know what that meant, the average, for use of an average fall enrollment. I don't know, I did a little research and I still don't know 100%. Senate Bill 158, amend the manner in which a school district determines the district's enrollment. Didn't really know what that was about. It could have an impact on us though. I think towards the bottom there, one to look at, Senate Bill 218, provide for the establishment of charter schools. That'll be interesting to see where that goes. And then 229, require an election to approve the issuance of capital outlay certificates. So knowing that what you did here a couple years ago, and you sold capital outlay certificates to build the Trojan Fitness space, that would probably no longer be, I wouldn't say that was easy, but the decision is gonna have more voices involved in a process like that, so something.
Kind of like a bond then at that point?
Yeah. Would it be a bond? I think there's some stipulations in there as far as the legalities of bond versus doing that. All of these things to do that and hold people's feet to the fire, use as a board especially, is every decision like that, to opt out of a levy or do something with a levy, change the levy. It's about forcing you guys to have to go to an election in order to do it, regardless of what the reason and rationale is. Whether it is an opt-out, whether it's an opt-out of general fund or an opt-out of capital outlay, or to sell capital outlay certificates. They're just more cumbersome in order to you guys local control to make the decisions what you think is in the best interest of your district. There's a faction out there that sit in Pier thinks that you should not have that power, and it should go to all the people in your district, no matter what you're doing as a school board. So, take that for what it's worth. Just a few House bills. One I found interesting, I didn't know this didn't exist, but 1187, House Bill, add coaches to the list of mandatory reporters. I went and read through the actual codified law. The word coaches isn't there. Every other facet of education, personnel, representative is there, but the word coaches is not there in the South Dakota codified law. So that's what that's about, which they know they're mandatory reporters anyway. But I suspect it's somebody outside the system, maybe who's not a teacher, understanding that there is an accountability level there. So that's not the end of the world. 1234, require the display of the state motto in public schools. So we have, in God we trust, probably 3 or 4 different places in our school. That came out of 3, 4, 5 years ago, I don't recall. Now, a bill out there to display the state motto. The state motto, anybody know the state motto? Under God, the people rule. That's South Dakota's state motto. So now we're gonna have to come up with another sign if this passes. Hang it right beside In God We Trust, and under God, the people rule. So we'll see where that goes. Interesting. And I'm okay with it, whatever. I'm a big deal on my part, so. Senate Bill 198, restrict the use of cell phone. Comment. 218, provide for the establishment of a charter school. Charter schools. It's opening the door for charter schools. These are things that haven't even been assigned yet in committee, so they're continuing. The wheels are continuing to turn out there. And then 229, another bill. Requiring an election to approve the issuance of capital outlay certificates. So the Senate's got one, or excuse me, the House has got one. Well, I don't know. I just wanted to bring you updates on that. And my time out in Pier, what I asked questions about, where are we at? Can we find some money for the big three? And I got the sense that perhaps it's possible. The 105 are working pretty hard and turning over a lot of rocks, and got some ideas as to how to maybe capture some money and then redistribute it in the form of not just one-time money, but ongoing money. So we'll see where it goes. In the worst case scenario, I think if nothing like that came to fruition, we would get one-time money. Now again, you can't necessarily put that towards people, because that's ongoing, but if it turns out to be a signing bonus or some other facet of how you're going to distribute that, we'll see what we end up getting. My plan is to come back in March we'll start the negotiation conversation based on where we're at, because we'll be pretty close to being done at our March meeting. So we'll see where we go from there. But questions on any bills that you did see out there? Made your head scratch, made you wonder? Okay, Mr. Fisher addressed the classification appeal. Any questions about the classification appeal? That took place. I think the reason I put in my notes there was pretty much explained it, and I explained it to them too. So, the last thing I got there, well, two more things. School board election, the window for that to circulate a petition, February 2nd, which was last week, and then you have until March 24th. And I believe Mr. Leischner's position, you're the only position, I think, right?
Yep.
Yep, so there's just one position open right now, so, but you have until that time, or anybody has until that time, in order to come in, get a petition from Mr. Mickle, and then go get it certified, notarized, I guess is the more appropriate term, circulate their petition and turn it back in, so. You know, I've always told you guys, there's only one way to get off a board. Either find your replacement or you die. So hopefully that doesn't happen. And if you don't have a replacement.
Feels like a threat more than anything. I don't know.
So, I say that with tongue in cheek, but honestly, that's a real deal. You don't have to show up to the meetings, but technically you're still on board. But no, I think we'll be able to get through that process. And if there's no need for an election, obviously, then we won't have one. So, but, and the last thing I just kind of passed out to you there, I just got this from Lindsay, good information. Questioning the necessity. Do we really need a school nurse? The school nurse came back to the district during COVID and COVID money. And we hung on to that. Last year was the first year where the full expense of that position was totally out of our pocket. I can promise you that Avera and Lindsay's doing really good things there to keep the cost of that down, to the point where honestly I think Avera has eaten some of the money that it's actually cost to run the program. Her and I have been conversing. She knows our plight right now financially, but I thought this was good information. Do we need one? And if you read through this about what they do or what they have done in this particular school year, if you can look at the numbers by month, what they're doing, the skills that they're utilizing. My take on this is it would be not an easy program to eliminate because of dollars and cents, but I think the outcry from our staff, especially in this particular end of the building, I don't know if I would be able to withstand
It's a lot of interactions, I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't know that you could
the outcry.
make up a difference for it.
Yeah, 100%. And who would do that in lieu of? Well,
It would end up being
yeah,
her in the office.
100%. You know, that's where it was going. It was the ladies in the offices who were trying to play med staff, so to speak. And honestly, it falls on admin too. I mean, myself, Mr. Fisher, you know, Mr. Knipling, I mean, and the people that are in the offices. You're doing those things. You're playing that nursemaid to a lot of these kids. So it's just something that I found interesting, that there's actually data here to suggest when we're looking at the overall budget, is this one of the places we want to take a look at if it's something push comes to shove and we no longer could afford it. So good information, I felt. So it didn't make your packet because I just got it from Lindsay, I think yesterday. So
Was it 3,000 to 5,000 that cost us?
this whole program, 3,000 to 5,000.
Yeah, I don't- maybe
I wish.
What was it? I don't recall.
Yeah, we're right now into it for 30
Oh,
grand because of the hours that we put in. So right now we're doing 4 hours, 171 days of school, and the cost is just shy of $50 an hour. That's what they have to have in order to float the program.
I think maybe you were thinking per month. Cause it's about 3,000-ish or a little over a
That
month.
could be.
I think
Well,
maybe that's where you got that number from.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about overall
Yeah,
dollars.
it's
and
about
cents.
$3,500 a month to have
Yeah.
a school nurse.
Got it.
Thank you for clarifying that, but, yeah.
So they are there just 4 hours, not an entire day. So there's some
Yep,
mornings or
they're out,
afternoons.
yeah, but they're usually out of here. And this is where she's fudged a little bit, that's where she's eaten some of it. They're actually here till 1, and she's only charging us for. But next year, we might have to reduce those hours and actually pay for those hours, not having the ladies that are in that nurse's office stay any longer than that. Which, again, when they leave at the end of the day, who's doing it from noon until on? We're all playing a little bit of part of that, so. But most of our issues obviously are in the morning. Med distribution for kids, kids getting sick. I mean, checking them out, fevers, I mean, just, doing all those types of things. Kid falls down outside during 2 o'clock recess, we'll bring him in and bandage him up and send him on his way, so. Yeah, it was good information, so, worth sharing.
So can any staff here administer drugs?
No. There's programming for that, and there's coursework that you have to go through in order to do that, so not anybody can just give out a Tylenol.
And are all staff first aid trained and CPR?
Do we have all staff trained at first aid?
Or are some staff that are in the building all the time?
I don't know if they could produce a card. We did that first and second year here, but the last 3 years, we haven't done that in the fall of the year, just because of the time is so tight and the rest of the stuff that we need to get through from a professional development perspective. There is no requirement for that. There's no expectation that anybody needs to do that. And with the nurses in the facility, we had some scenarios last year where we had some kids, go down and pass out and seizure and stuff like that, and they were there. I mean, it was always helpful, but CPR, do we have anybody with the card? Even myself, I do not have one. Can I do CPR? Am I confident? Do I know what I'm doing? Yeah, I mean, that's just my military coming back at me, I mean, in my opinion. And I've had over the years, plenty of it, so. Should we be doing that every year? What's the price of a life? You're 100% right, yeah, I don't know.
Maybe at least the coaches, or the PE teachers.
And they do, so in our first aid training, all of our coaching, they all have that part of certification. I mean, I did it through my coaching certification this year, I went through all that stuff.
And how often do you have to do that?
First aid is every 2?
Every 2 years.
Yeah, every 2. So.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm just thinking like, if your nurse isn't here and something happens, is there like a team of people who could always be kept up? You know what I'm saying?
And
Like,
that
so-
would be our coaches
Okay.
within the system.
So then maybe there's a recognized way to like overhead it and they know they're supposed to come
Yeah.
to an area.
I
or-
would say any of our kids know that our coaches have that responsibility and would come. Let's say we're in middle class, we're not on the football field or anything like that. I mean, I think our kids do a pretty job, and even our staff know who to
Okay.
turn to and who to go get, so,
Okay.
no. Any other questions about that concept? Okay. That's all I have.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. McKinnon? We'll move on to discussion items.
I just have to say one more thing. Sorry. If there was something that happened in the school, would you say all the staff know where the AEDs are?
Yeah, and it's on our evacuation things
Yeah.
that we have. They're listed on there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's part of our.
Do you do that every year?
Emergency. Those are always hanging in.
No. Do you do training with the staff so they? I know it
On
turns on
those
and it's pretty.
devices?
It's easy to use, but do they know how to access it?
We
do they
don't
know
do
what-
training on those devices. No. Our coaches do. but the rest of the staff, no.
Okay. Is there somebody who checks the pads every year when they outdate?
Yep, Ember comes.
Awesome,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, I'm done, thank you.
Okay, item A, review policy manual. The following ASBSD policies are being presented for review and a first reading for district consideration. HH, HJ, HL, HN, and HO.
This will close out section H, which is about negotiation aspects. So there's nothing in those particular policies that are out of line, and they all align with what we practice or you practice as a school board with the negotiation process. So privileges and negotiation staff is HH, HG is negotiating procedures, HL is preliminary negotiated agreement, and then HN is impasse, and then HO is employee contract obligations. So I don't have any changes on any of those, they all fall in line, but if that's your first reading on those, so if you come across something, we can always address it, or, and it mirrors our negotiated agreement for the most part.
Any questions?
HJ is, talks about the negotiation will occur before contracts are issued. Don't the preliminary contracts usually go out before?
No.
They don't? No. I know in Nicole's and Winter, they always get a signer contract before they even had negotiations, and then they had a final one later, so I just didn't know what the timing was here.
Redundancy. I don't do that. We don't do that. We try to get it done and issue a contract.
That's never been an issue for as long as I've been here. I mean,
Probably not.
timeliness, time-wise.
Yeah, I don't know what you did prior to myself coming, but in my other establishments, same thing. I wasn't gonna issue one, you sign it, turn around and go through the whole process and then issue another one.
Right, I
And
mean,
then
it doesn't make
changes, and
any
then-
sense at all.
Yeah, issue the third one perhaps here, then. No, I'm not doing that.
I just didn't know how the timing worked here, so
Yeah.
comparison.
So, it's a good question though, yep, but we don't.
Anything else?
Okay. We'll move on to item B. The following ASBSD policies are being presented for review and a second reading for district consideration. HA, HB, HC, HD, and HE. Does anybody have any questions on those? I don't believe we had any changes
No
last
change.
time, so it was pretty standard stuff, I believe. Okay, we'll move on to item C. The following ASBSD policies are being presented for final review and adoption and inclusion to the district's policy manual, GDBD, GDI, GDN, GDJ, GDPA, GDPB, and GDPC.
No changes to those either throughout the process.
Nobody has any comments, I'll accept a motion to approve those for adoption.
I'll second.
Moved by Diebel, second by Prohl. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. Moving on to item D. Discuss the 26-27 school calendar.
Color document in your packet, hope you had a chance to look at that, very similar to what we've done here in the last 3 years. Just a few issues to highlight. One would be in an October 9th date, perhaps for a fall in-service where there is no school at all for kids, and the staff travel to Mitchell for a PD event hosted by Dial. And then replicating that perhaps back down in April, and the dates aren't exact down there, for a concept called the TIE Conference, which is now more a term, change in terminology is Compass Learning. And it's a 2-day event where we could take a day and perhaps go. The TIE Conference is really a unique aspect of professional development for teachers. And it's spendy, which I told our staff we would not be able to afford the cost of their registration, but if there's enough people that wanted to do that, we would take a look at, providing the opportunity. And those are 2 days where you wouldn't have kids in school. What we've done at PD a little bit on the in-service days is we go half days, but we're still within our realm of hours. if those two came to fruition, I'm pretty sure the tie conference this year is in Sioux Falls, and the thing about the tie conference, it always goes east-west, east-west. So if it's East River this year, West River next year, I told them, if that's the deal, it's a deal breaker. We're gonna take it off the calendar. When it's back in Sioux Falls, then maybe we can have the conversation again. Because we're not going to Rapid City and paying hotel rooms, and you know, I know they have to pay for their own registration, but I don't even want to haggle with that. So, just not conducive from the distance and the time frame in order to do that. So, those are the real things that we added to the calendar. We switched a few things around, but we still have our professional development, teacher development days that are in line. Right now, you see the middle of September with the 14th through the 25th. We don't have true dates on that because coronation and homecoming and parent-teacher conferences and comp day no school. It can go either way in those 2 weeks because we won't have a football schedule. Mr. Fisher and I disagree. He thinks it's going to happen not till after the AD's conference. I think it's going to happen before. So it would make a difference then because then we have to find a Friday, one that's a home date, and hopefully not an open date because that falls in there too. And then we'd have to pick that, and we're limited on our coronation days because of other activities within those 2 weeks stretch of time. So for the most part, what am I looking for is kind of a blessing. This is what it is, and then we'll work out those coronation, homecoming, parent-teacher conference, comp day in the fall of the year, you know, when that time comes and we get that information to do so. I want to commend the staff who worked on this because, and if you look in December, we're going to come back after the 18th, that Friday, and come back the 21st and the 22nd. Otherwise, you would have been walking out on the 18th and you wouldn't have come back till January 5th. It was like 18 days. And I did survey our schools, local schools. There was, out of 22 responded, there was 16 of them said that it mirrored us. They were coming back for the 22nd, and some were not. Now, the caveat there that we did change, if you look into January, teachers are going to come back to work on the 4th. That was something that was not hotly contested, but it was debated. They came up with some good reasons and rationale to get ready for the January that you just heard Mr. Knipling say, 5 solid weeks of 5 days. You know, getting ready to make sure that we come back on Tuesday the 5th with kids. And that was a pretty common theme. I didn't realize that amongst that survey. I did get several of them that had the same approach. Didn't know taking that Monday back after the New Year's was something that they gave their staff. The trade-off was admin gets some time. You just don't get to come, and I use the term, they kind of giggled. They said, you don't get to show up in your sweats and your pajamas and have the whole day to yourself. We need it. We can have some PD on that day, then we're going to take some of that. And they were fine with that, as long as they got some time to get their ducks in a row and ready for next day, the 5th, with kids. So those were kind of really the bigger, you know, other than that, it stayed the same. So questions, comments, thoughts on what it is?
I didn't have a comment specifically on this calendar, but as I was reviewing it, Adam, we have a basketball game on December 26th this year. That's what the calendar says on mine. That seemed
No.
awfully early.
We can't, I don't think.
Okay.
You mean for next year?
26, December 26th. December 26th
Yeah.
of 26. It's that
December
Hoop City
26th.
Classic on my
December
calendar.
26,
Yeah, no, we
2020.
don't have that.
Okay.
That's not happening.
Okay.
That was just a carryover date that I
Okay.
was copying, but no, it's not.
Okay.
And we're actually dropping out of that, but
Okay.
that would be on the 28th this year if we were still in that. So
On Monday.
I think that was just the corresponding date that we had, but.
Okay.
And that wouldn't, there's a winter moratorium on
Yeah.
that?
That's what I
And they-
assumed, yeah.
Yeah, they couldn't even do it.
Yeah.
So,
When does that end?
that 27th.
Okay.
or that 26, well, it might be the 27th, I'd have to look, I don't know.
What's the winter moratorium?
So a moratorium imposed by the South Dakota Activity Association happens in July. There's a week there that you can't touch kids, kids can't be in the building, can't do anything with kids, can't coach kids, can't be around kids. Same with the winter moratorium. There's that time frame around Christmas where all things are off. Kids are coming here to shoot buckets if they want, but coaches can't interact.
It's not like an organized.
You can't coach.
Can't have open gyms or anything like that.
Yeah, it's been how long? It's been around a while.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That they've done that.
Mhm.
It's
Good.
How many school days do we have total?
The contract is 171 days with kids and teachers 177, and that's in their contract, always has been. So, and they have to work 177. Yeah, and then that PD development thing and in service and stuff like that. Those are, and then the pre-service days at the beginning of the year, they don't count in that. And that's something we pay them above and beyond for those pre-service days. So. I didn't hear, I went through it with the staff last week at in-service, went with the committee. I really didn't hear the crickets were chirping.
I just like it better when the Christmas break ends up week and a half like this than compared to 2 weeks. That just makes me feel better.
Yeah,
They get bored.
100%. And honestly, it's probably more of the mental health of the teachers than it is the kids. And it becomes a mental health issue for the kids because the kids are like, gee, I'm ready to go. You know, they would never admit that, especially the older kids, but you know, the younger ones are squirrely and your parents start chomping at the bit a little bit, like, get back to school. Which I don't blame them.
Okay, so you don't really need approval, just kind
I
of
mean,
any
Yeah,
objections?
it looks good. Carry on, you know, blessing for sure, and then we'll get those dates. I'll bring them back, and we'll hone it in. So.
Okay, I didn't
Okay.
see anything that
Okay.
stuck out, Larry, so.
Okay.
We didn't get a copy, but it's okay. You kind of explained it all.
Yeah,
It didn't show up in your.
It wasn't in the
Yeah.
packet.
It wasn't in the packet, but it was. I
It's
saw it.
online.
Yeah.
On the digital pack.
Oh, I never looked at that one, so that's okay.
Was,
You
the
explained.
one I sent in,
The one you
I
gave to
sent
me at
to
home
your
was
line.
did not have it.
the paper copy.
Yeah,
Good for crying out loud.
it's fine. You
It is.
explained it to us. It's fine.
My apologies for that.
Okay, we'll move on to the ongoing roof saga.
It was ironic that this showed up. I actually talked to the young man by the name of Ethan, and he had some questions, and I'm like, of course, he wasn't in the loop on anything, and he said, well, I don't even know I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what you're referencing. Well, you didn't get that? I said, no, because he was here in October. I said, nobody sent it to me. I said, when I talked to Ryan and Otto, they didn't, said nobody. Oh, he said, again, I apologize, so I got it. Said he would get it. Never showed up. And guess what showed up? Find it. Here it is. So you can see by all the pictures and the stuff that he did. I mean, he looked at every one of our roofs. You can see it on there. You know, so all the evidence suggests that there's several things that needs to be addressed up there. You know, according to the pictures. I didn't go up there with the day when he was doing all this and taking this, but this was back in the fall of the year. You know, there's plenty of things there that it would explain to me where the pictures that that like, okay, I know why I got water issues there. I know where that is. I know where that is. I mean, I can piece it all together. So if you look at the totality of the proposal, back to the very last page, or the second to the last page, if you accepted that to fix all these priority things on roofs A, B, and C, or these areas of A, B, and C, many different roofs involved in there, you're looking at about $45,800 to get that done. What I don't have in there, though, is the gutters. And I asked, what did I say his name was? Ethan. And he goes, he said, I did not know they came out and did that. And I said, well, Ryan told me he was going to get me a proposal. He said, I will do what I can to have that conversation, but I will at least send you my information. You know, the when I came out and walked your rough lines and did everything. So, yeah, the 45-8, in order to fix all the stuff, we want to look at priorities. I mean, this is something that leads into the next item, discussion item, you know, which goes into capital outlay, and I put that in your packet too. Hopefully, tell me you didn't get this.
We got that.
Okay. So, my thought is this is stuff that needs to be fixed, in my opinion, on your roof, or our roof. And some of that is in the very first part, the valleys that we were talking about, that Andrew, you and I went up. And
What are they even gonna do though? So it's see repair notes. I looked all through and I couldn't find any notes on what that meant.
yeah, and that'd be something, a question I would certainly ask. What is the plan in order to repair that? I just wanted to bring it to your guys' attention as to what is the proposal. What are they going to do with that, that valley? Because that valley is where we're having that issue. So,
Big portion of it.
yep. And I told him about all the penetrations, this Ethan dude, and he's like, yeah, okay, I'll note that. He said, I'll talk to Ryan about that. You know, we looked at using perhaps Austin to maybe look at some of that steel around those penetrations going through the roof. But he said, you know, he wasn't aware, he wasn't involved in that conversation I had with Ryan and Otto. So, but he would certainly look into that. What exactly does that mean to fix that flashing? I don't know. That's something we have to find out.
Well, yeah, there's, no doubt repairs need to be made. My question is, it just doesn't seem like, to me, this company's got their communication down, and it just seems like something's not right.
The last time, you know, they put the new roof on the armory,
Yeah.
did a good job, and the stuff that they fixed prior to that did a good job. You know, that's when that guy by the name of Phil, I told you, that's why I recommended him to you in the first place. But Phil is gone. So, do I have questions? Perhaps. Yes. What I don't have, I do have another company's name, but honestly, the feedback that I've gotten from people, guys that sit in the chair, same stuff. I'm not sure that they're the answer to that, our problems either. So, can we ask them? Can I have them come out and do exactly what this company did? Yeah.
Do we know where Phil went?
He's retired.
Oh, I didn't know if he went to another company.
He's retired, yeah.
Okay, sure.
Am I out
So-
of, am I
No,
doing this
I'm-
wrong? I mean,
I think you're right on too.
I mean, there's flat roofs all over the place. There's gotta be
Mhm.
numerous companies that would do this. Would, Pitts, or what's the architect we used for this? Arc, would they have any recommendations of somebody that, I mean, that would be, I would feel better about it, I guess, at least having another company come up and look at it, and, you know, 45,000 is not a small chunk of change, at least. I'm not saying I wanna take the lowest bidder, but
Mhm.
at least making sure things are jiving, I guess. That's just what I thought.
Yeah, it's something like that, it's only better to have two bids, keep each other honest.
I know it's more work on your end, trying to coordinate that, but I just,
I know all those guys. I mean, I know Jim, I know Steve. I mean, they give me some solid names.
Yeah.
Have somebody come out and take a peek at it. So, and we don't know these guys anything.
well, yeah, I just,
I found it ironic that it showed up when it showed up. So,
I think at least one other bid on it there. Have some
definitely went downhill since Phil left.
yeah, so.
But yeah, I can do that. Absolutely.
But I
at
think
least
it's
now I know.
Yeah,
Because I don't know what I'm looking at when I
Yep.
go on top of there. Well, now I've got an
Yep.
idea of what I'm looking at, you know, so.
well, and all those spots are marked now. I assume that chalk or whatever is still up there, marked, maybe it fades.
Maybe not. We did have
But
some
maybe the
stuff.
other company will be a little competitive and point out all things he missed and something like
Right.
that, so, I don't know.
careful what you ask for. It could go north,
What I'm asking for is no water in the building. That's what I'm asking for.
100%.
So,
Yep, I can do that.
okay. All right, so we'll just roll into capital
Yeah,
outlay then.
yeah,
I mean,
same conversation, so.
obviously, that's a major part of it there.
Yeah. Well, and that wasn't even on there. You know, so you look at the very top priority in '05, 0 to 5 year time frame. Those are things here, and again, these are just things over the years since I've been here that continue. We've vetted some of these many times, and it's more about what I'm asking for you guys is coming up with your perceptions on prioritize. Like, this is a project that needs to be done, that needs to be changed, that needs to be fixed, that needs to be upgraded. I mean, in the blue part of it, I don't care. Here's what Jason and I visited about. There's several of these that are one-time dollars, right? So I want to bring your attention to the fact that when you get to your financial report, you're gonna look at a capital outlay that's just shy of 1.2. And I asked Jason, they said, what do you anticipate in our spring taxes, you know, payable, and we will get them in May and June. And there's a very real likelihood, yes, we will have more expenses coming out of our capital outlay fund before school is out, but the major products, unless something goes bad, right? Some major piece of equipment, you know, just doesn't work anymore. But you're gonna end up in a capital outlay situation in basically your savings account north of 1.5. So in reference to this, yes, prioritizing, but establishing a number. This has nothing to do with the 1.3 million in our capital outlay budget that we asked for by levy, and that, which is 500 and some thousand is your capital outlay certificate payment and your interest payment. And then the rest of it is operational. It's what we do in any one given year. And in our elementary school and our 6th through 12th school in the capital outlay aspect. 1.3 million is what we've asked for the last 3 years. And within that is a $275,000 transfer, general fund. So the question is there a number that perhaps maybe would go above and beyond? The 1.3, you keep your 1.3 where it is, that's your request or thereabout. And then some of these things are gonna come out of a savings component and address some of those things. And that's where you're gonna get the dollars in order to pay for these enhancements. So, but what's that number? What's the number that a guy wanted to perhaps maybe tap into? You know, set yourself a threshold. Past practice for me, where I was, we always established a number, and then I found the projects that needed to be done and worked our way back into that number. We never went above that number, perhaps even sometimes below, but we knew we had that to spend, and that's where we stayed. And then the projects aligned with what that was, that amount. So that's kind of my train of thought there. Thoughts, ideas, comments, feedback.
And a good portion of our capital outlay there is left over from the building project and interest income, correct? I mean, there was,
Yeah.
I mean, not all of it, but a good chunk of it was left over. So that's why it's up, you know, a little bit
100%. Yep.
on the high side.
Yep, 100%.
So what do we annually spend on a capital outlay, just kind of our standard operating, you know, paying for things we'd always have to pay for our
Well,
yearly
you
expenses?
levy for 1.3 million.
So that 1.3 is all, we kind of have that all allocated already for
With
ongoing.
the-
Yeah, but there are some of these little things that typically go in there, so supplies, classrooms, whether it's desks, teachers' desks, things like that. Craig had always built that number into that 1.3.
This stuff,
Right.
that's the yearly stuff,
Right,
right?
yeah, that's
it
right.
is. I'd have to go look to see what that number was that he had put in there.
I think
don't know,
that's what he
Jason,
always said in the
Jason,
past.
if you know that number, you probably don't yet. I mean, we've talked about it, but
Yeah, not specific.
So,
specifics.
yeah, that usually is also embedded in the 1.3, you know.
And that, out of that 1.3 comes that, whatever you said, 250 transfer? 275 transfer, so that's part of that 130, so that comes out of there. So everything else is capital outlay.
So
What's left on the balance of the capital outlay certificate to be paid off yet?
Oh,
A lot.
that's 20 years.
Oh, it's a 20-year certificate?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was shorter. I don't know why I thought that.
Long way.
Yeah, long ways to go.
Long ways to go yet. I wished it was shorter, but yeah. We have the opportunity after 10
To pay
to
more.
refinance and then redo the payment and then accelerate. You have to give that buyer the 10 years in order for him a chance to make his money, is what you have to do. So, but then after that, game on. So you can do what you want with it. Refinance them, you can start paying down whatever you want to pay down to get rid of it.
This is just me talking, but I don't see really anything out of line here in the priority 0 to 5 year time frame. The maintenance storage facility we've talked about, I would maybe wait a few months here to see what's gonna happen in the future next year. But I guess the rest of the stuff, I mean, we talked about the parking lot for a couple of years. I mean, there's some stuff out there that needs to be done.
Yeah, I think that's to me, that's probably one of the top priorities.
And
is
I
the
can tell
parking
you,
lot.
I put 10 there. I've tried everything I could to try to find a product and find an applicator so we could do it ourselves, and obviously I haven't done well. So we would have to go back to a vendor and try to find somebody. But the one vendor when we were building the building, the guy that does this for a living, I mean, off the top of his head, and I just told him I had, about 6,000 linear feet out there. I mean, he told me right there, he said, I can't give you the exact, but you're over 25.
Sure.
So,
Well, there's even a few sections that need to be replaced, isn't there?
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, so now you're talking about construction. My thought was if I could ever catch the guy, he's like the wind, get a hold of Jamie Rexmico. Because I know he does this stuff too, what we're talking about. And he supposedly is going to be in town early spring, early summer. Because he's along 44. I think he's got a project that he's got going on there. So I know he will be here. And if I can pin him down to come give us some thoughts on this, I'm not saying he's the one to do it, but he'll give us some guidance on what we can be doing to do that stuff. Because even you think of what he does, I mean, this guy's doing highways and intersections. They're coxing. So I know he's got the equipment to do it.
Yeah, I think that'd be the best way to do it. If it can work out, find somebody that's here already that's got the equipment. I mean, that's gonna be your best deal, 100%. So.
But I would say that's a major one that we do need to do that because it's.
Yeah, if they keep falling apart, it's only gonna get more expensive to fix it. And I forgot to look, is there any safety on that crossing bridge right by the four-way stop now? I mean, there's zero chain
Yeah,
link
the one
fence.
there's chain link there right now.
Is there?
But one side got kind of taken out and it's piecemealed back. It's not effective, it looks like.
I was just wondering, because if
Poor.
there was nothing there, that's a
I actually talked
safety.
to Colin Newton,
Okay.
told him what I was looking there for. He said he'd run up there and do some measurements and give me a ballpark. What are we talking? I talked about square, inch square tubing,
Sure.
kind of decorative, not decorative, but, a couple railings on the top railing and so nobody could, slide through there or whatever. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
put some brackets, surface mount, little thing, cone up, put that in there, drill it,
Solid.
nut it, so it's.
Yeah,
good.
one side looks pretty rough right now.
Yeah.
I don't think it would do much if somebody fell up
No,
against
there
it.
wouldn't do anything. You're going over, 100%.
So, yeah.
Anybody else have any thoughts, Joe?
And I do have some quotes on some of this stuff already, so I didn't.
Have you gotten a quote on the armory bathrooms?
No, so I need to talk, I had Austin doing that.
Sure.
But the company he got those inlaid sink countertops went out of business. So, but last time we did the boys and girls bathroom in the high school wing, we got it all done for less than 75.
Sure,
And that was even including plumbing, I think.
sure.
I haven't been in the entryway there lately. Did that trim baseboard ever get finished on there?
Not yet.
Not yet, that's on the list.
And the only
That's
reason
not
I
a
do
big
it down
deal,
there is
but-
because we have that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
up, it's up above the,
okay,
I mean, I have like
yeah.
4 rolls.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
stuck. So those, I just need, and our guys could do that.
Yep.
All you gotta do
Yep.
is put the glue on it.
Okay.
Are these all things that, just options, or are these things that you'd like to happen for sure?
I don't have a preference, it's just kind of prioritizing. Those are
Yeah.
things that have been on our list, last couple of years. So to me, there again, it's more about perhaps maybe finding a number, get the quotes, and then, okay, which one of these become the priority that we need to fill the bucket with a dollar amount that perhaps maybe we wanted to expend one time out of the capital outlay reserves.
Well, I would say every year during football season, every game, I hear about how no one can hear anything.
I mean, I've been beaten up on it too. I know Adam's been
So
beaten
that's
up.
something
Adam's
that-
been beat up on it too. We have that quote. We brought that quote.
Yeah.
I mean, that quote's 24
Yeah, I mean,
compared to the one quote we got. That was 43,
mhm,
if I remember right.
mhm. Yeah, and then
And I did reach out to that dude. I just did here right before Christmas, and he said it would. That's still good.
the 25
The
one.
24, yeah. Whatever you put
Yeah.
in there. So.
Um,
But we had people. There were supposed to be vendors and businesses in town that were going to
Yeah.
contribute to this, and
Yeah.
that, for whatever reason,
Fell
I'm
through.
not questioning that. It just never came to
Mhm.
fruition. I don't know if there's still interest in that or not, but I know the people who to contact.
Okay,
But maybe there's some skin in the game on their part, and then that cuts down the cost on our part,
Mhm.
and halvesies on the deal. I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, I
So,
think there would be
so
some,
do we need to add speakers out there with what we have, or we have to start all scratch?
This would be brand new.
yeah. It sounded
Okay.
like it was all new stuff because it's all outdated.
Adam, do you remember what he's? It would be new, right?
Yep, yep, it'd be all new.
And then obviously I always love the idea of the students getting something, so I really think that amatomage table would be really cool for our students. I know we have a lot of science students who come out of, I mean, probably half of each class they go into a science study, so I think that would be really neat to have for our students. I mean, all of these things impact our students, but that's probably the only one that actually impacts their
Academic.
learning.
Academic 100%.
Yeah.
I know, Lindsay was looking into some grants through Avera
Sure.
to see if Avera
Yep.
had anything.
Yep.
I haven't talked
Yep.
to her for a while,
Right.
so.
What about relining the rest of the sewer, just to have that all done, and the other little issues you told me about, the better
Yep.
the dips and stuff, just
Yep,
getting,
and Jason asked about that today. Are you gonna do that? And I'm like, well, I didn't put it on there. And that's, do we wanna be proactive, or do we wanna continue to be reactive on
I
that?
don't wanna be down there scooping it, so.
You haven't had to yet.
No.
I'll call you when it happens, so.
I just think it probably looks pretty bad on the school whenever we have a tournament or something, and then the toilets back up, and
Last 3 years, girls volleyball tournament.
so if we could make that not happen, that would make the school look a little better, a little better reputation, I would say, when people are coming and going and stuff.
And I heard from those guys about midway through the first semester. I got, that guy's name was Ben, or he emailed me and asked. I said, I don't know. I said, I'll get back to you.
I'm sure it'd be cheaper to have them out on a planned day versus having them come out on an emergency to plug
Well,
it.
the relining part of it's always been planned. Trying to get it to flow, that's the reactionary part that
Right, if we could just,
cost us. Whether that's hometown or Darren Schmidt from Alec, he seems to be he jets it. The other one guy, Darren, rotor roofs it. So
It sounds like the worst job on earth.
that's not fun.
Yeah.
it's right down at the bottom of the worst ones.
So it seems like it'd be easier if we had like an amount of money that we want to spend and
Yeah.
then,
Well, and that's my biggest challenge to you
Yeah.
guys.
Well,
I'm giving you some ideas, and I know,
Yeah.
but you have to have a threshold in mind, and then I can go get the quotes for this stuff, and then give you some ideas, and then we can back our way into the number.
what do you think?
so a threshold
You're the money
of
guy.
where we want to draw down that capital outlay fund to. Okay, so it would
Knowing that you'll probably be closer to 1.6 in my opinion.
on June 30.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Jason, think? Is that too high?
Yeah, might be a little high, but
So how much money do you think we have to spend?
What are we gonna get yet in taxes?
we should get like 750 yet.
In capital outlay.
How much is yet to spend
Yeah.
outside of the transfer?
Yeah.
Hard to
I
say.
mean, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I kind of numbered it. Obviously, that guardrail thing's kind of a safety issue. I thought that'd be number one, and then the roof and the parking lot are probably
Mhm.
to me the two. You know, and then the sewer, I guess, is
I'd say
also on here, but yeah,
I would say your list is pretty good there, if you throw the sewer in there.
yeah.
So I don't know if I feel comfortable putting a number on it tonight. Can we table this and do a little bit of research and bring it back
Yeah.
next month? And
I don't want an exact number.
Okay.
I'm looking for, give me a ballpark here.
Okay, I just think
Couple hundred.
I'm a little slow on this. Sometimes I need to think about it a little bit. But
You're good. I don't even know in my head. If for whatever reason, in doing this and looking at this, my mind knowing what we're gonna have at the end, in June 30th in capital outlay, 200 sticks in my head, and then back our way into these projects
Mhm.
and see what we can get done for that amount of money. But.
spend 200 on these
Projects.
over and above
Yeah,
projects.
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
That's
Yes.
just a thought.
Historically, how much we've kept in capital outlay as a reserve?
Well, if you look at, I know.
I mean,
Yeah.
before like the building project, I know Matt said a lot of the money, or a chunk of that money came from interest gained on them.
Yeah, that
And
doesn't
left
go
over.
back far enough. I don't think that's
Yeah.
it.
Back to 22.
That's right.
Does
1.1.
22 get you before that? Probably not.
Yeah, 2 years before that.
So what is that?
1.2, 1.2, 1.22, 1.25.
But wasn't there a bunch of that COVID money then we were
It
getting
is,
for the?
that's why.
Yeah, so that's
So is that a real number, evidential to your question? Probably not. So we'd have to, Jason have to go look at those documents. And it's there. I mean, we just
Right,
have to
just
find
go
that.
back over.
What has been the number? I would say, just off the top of my head, not uncommon, but you're somewhere, 900, 900, probably sticks in my head.
We ended this past year at like 1,350,000. So
If the state doesn't give us any more funding, will it be something we should consider as increasing the amount we transfer from capital outlay to the general fund?
That's one way.
I just, something
100%.
to keep in mind if we're considering what we're spending.
Yep, that's a great notion. Have I thought of that? Yeah, but was I, at some point in time, we have to have that conversation, because it's an ongoing expenditure. And the byproduct of that is anytime that you're going to increase, let's just say 275, transfer the 45% rule, that you transfer that and you go knock that up to 300. The only way to generate that number then, in any one given year, is to move the levy in order to get that extra, in this case, 25,000, right? Yeah. So, and you're not maxed. You're in your capital outlay.
No,
I mean,
we're
we're far from it, and our sped is, we're not maxed on that either, as far as what we could levy in order to run that program. And then you don't have an opt-out, and then the other levies, keep in mind, so anybody who's watching, you guys don't have anything to do about that. You don't set that, the state sets that. You don't get a say in that. The state tells you what your levy for owner-occupied ag, non-ag, you know, all those other components, commercial, they're gonna tell you what you're gonna be able to, you know, stipulate from the Parkston School District, so.
I just didn't think of like the transfer as like a one-time thing. We use a little bit of our savings and capital outlay
Good.
for this year. Maybe the state, hopefully next year, gets back on track with, you know, keeping up with inflation and stuff like
That's
that.
that's always a
So,
philosophy.
not thinking of raising the capital outlay levy, just using some of our savings to supplement a little bit for the 1 year.
That's risky,
Right, or just something to
because
discuss.
now you put it in, that's not going away. Now, the only way to make it go away, you can't meet that. You take away money from people. And people think that, well, you can't do that. You can't take away, you can't cut your teacher's pay. Well, technically you can. You can cut all your employees' pay if that's what you want to do. I don't know that it's ever been done in education, quite honestly. But there's some school districts right now, that's the conversation that I'm hearing. In order to make things work, all 90 of us giving back.
Well, I'm not even saying maybe even a pay thing. You mentioned even a one-time bonus or something like that.
100%.
We could do that.
Yeah,
It's just a
100%.
1 year thing
Yep,
too.
one,
So,
yeah.
like I said, just
That's just
spitballing
put
ideas
some money
and
in their
things.
pocket, right?
Yeah.
But it's not gonna go on top of their salary.
Right, so if it doesn't work out for,
You're safe on that.
yep, and then if
100%.
they, like I said, if the state comes back and starts keeping up with what their
Yeah.
mandate they should be doing, then we'll be back on track again, so. But who knows if they'll actually do that. So.
It's changed more years than it hasn't in my tenure.
So back to the list here, off the top of your head, you think 200 is what we would be able to tackle off these projects and not really affect the capital outlay
Yep.
too much?
If, knowing that part of that, what's left in your balance, you're still gonna do the transfer of 275, or in this particular case, 3 maybe, to throw your staff a bone, which wouldn't be much. I mean, that's not gonna go very far, but it's better kick in the knees, you know, so bringing that out, and then having another 200, knowing that's just shy of 5, you end at 1.6, that brings you back down to 1.1,
Yep.
and that's in line with what you have in the last, 4 or 5 years, so.
Okay.
But yes, think
Okay.
that it's all thought. That's why having the conversation tonight, some different concepts, ideas, approaches to maybe how we can, one, help the staff in the event that the state doesn't help us help the staff. And then, these particular projects, knowing that you do have some cash balance in your capital outlay reserve funds. So, and I'll continue to work to get some of the numbers here and obviously bring them all back, what I can, what I do get at that point in time, so.
When does the busing contract get renewed? When do we have to make that decision?
Well, good on his part, for their part, they always wait till after the session has ended as well to see if there was any new dollars that came to school district's way. In this particular case, I haven't had a conversation with them about, in the event that there's 0 for school districts, what their premise on that, are they gonna hold the line? I don't know. But when do we actually sign that? I think last year was in April. That's what I'm pretty sure, the last 2 years, that's what we've signed in April. And this recognition of the resignation scares me a little bit because I'm not sure what they think they're gonna do and who they're gonna find in order to do that.
Right.
My fear is they're gonna try to run it out of the Mitchell office. And brace yourself.
Right.
Yeah, that-
The reason I'm bringing it up is just thinking of if we decide to do our own busing, where does that
A whole-
fall in our
a whole
budgeting?
A whole different ballgame.
No.
Because now you're talking, I'm still confident I could still get you 8 buses for less, and decent buses. in my opinion, I can still get us 8 buses for less than 150. Where are we gonna park them? I don't know.
Right.
I just didn't know, thinking of that too, when we're determining what projects to be looking at.
Because all the other expenditures then become a general fund expenditure. I mean, all the stuff that is a consumable, personnel, I mean, whatever, maintenance, changing oil, can't take that out of capital outlay, so. But an added expense to a bottom line that has no new money coming into it, other than, I want to say your taxes, but the tax conversation at the state level, you know, the difference there. Your guys' contribution, or the Parkston School District's contribution, is inverse. We pay more, state pays less. We can't pay more, state pays more. We pay less, they pay more. It's still robbing Peter to pay Paul. The only way to ensure that you get new money, real money, more money, is more butts in the seats. It's kids. Has to be kids. You know, or cut staff. Cut programs. You've heard me tell me that story before. I mean, I want to call a general session and put them all in the gym and raise your hand if. Every time you lay a program out there and ask if you want to get rid of it, nobody raises their hand. Then you're opting out. That's a dirty word around here, I think.
Okay, well, with that in mind, we'll think about that over the next month and
Yep.
try and get a little bit firmer number
Yep.
next month,
I'll
so.
do that.
Okay. Last item, action item, financial report. Let's review the financial report.
I did bring an updated copy because there's one thing just with the scholarship fund. There was an old scholarship check that was voided that just never got cashed, and we were going round and round trying to deal with that, and we just ended up, they said they're not taking the scholarship, didn't go to school, so
Okay.
the check just got voided, so just the updated balance on that scholarship fund really is the only difference. Otherwise, like I said, that large payment came in for the our home tuition for last school year that we were expecting, so that's there.
Which number is, oh, that's the 179 number.
Yeah,
Jason,
about 170 of that was from the DOE for their portion for last year.
Yep.
Okay, I don't see anything out of line. Does
No.
anybody have any questions?
It's solid.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the financial report. Move by Roll, second by Turner. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Okay.
Both same sign. Okay, we will take a short recess and come back in to executive session.